ESPN's First Take, our first draft podcast with Mel Kiper Jr., Field Yates. Talked about value picks in the upcoming draft. One of the guys they liked, Ohio State's Michael Hall.
Michael Hall Jr. should not be overlooked, Mel. He had a sack and a half last year. All right, that number is not going to blow you away by any stretch. But with Michael Hall Jr., you're betting on a player whose disruption was consistent. Now, he's smaller. He's under 200. He's under 300 pounds, I should say. He's a guy that, he's going to have his moments where offensive linemen get the best of him. But Michael Hall Jr., to me, one of my favorite interior disruptors. And we're seeing more and more teams these days, Mel, prioritize guys that live behind the line of scrimmage amongst defensive linemen. We don't have as many guys who are sitting there holding the point of attack. I was talking about how, 15 years ago, Casey Hampton, a nose tackle, drafted out of University of Texas, right, Mel? Like, that role, that play, he was an awesome player, by the way. But the number of teams that are saying, we're just looking for a guy that can basically take up space for our linebackers and other defensive linemen to do work, that role has been diminished in the NFL. So guys like Michael Hall Jr. that can live behind the line of scrimmage, I think are way more valuable.
Scott, when you hear, the reason I play that, you hear the description of what he does well, sure sounds like somebody you'd line up next to Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. You look at some of these D-tackle candidates and prospects, and there's not a ton of sack production, but that's what everybody's looking for. And those disruption numbers matter. And it's not all about sacks. We've learned that lesson. Hall's interesting, right? I mean, everything Field was talking about. A little bit undersized, but quick, can get in the backfield. Local kid. I think he grew up in Cleveland, then moved to Streetsboro. He's interesting when you talk about that Jim Schwartz attack front. That's what they're looking for, which is why the Ika pick last year it's still a little bit of a head scratcher, right? Because he's so big. He's not a burst up the field guy, even though maybe he can still do that. The Browns believe he can. But physically, that doesn't scream out, get up the field, right? Because he's 340 pounds.